Prepare to embark on a journey that transcends the ordinary, a voyage that transports us to the subtle realms of existence, where every movement, every thought, every breath carries a profound meaning. It is not just a journey through physical space but an exploration of the layers of our own soul. Imagine a vast ocean, where every drop of water intertwines in an eternal dance with all the others. So it is with our lives, a constant interconnection of experiences, energies, and intentions, where what we are is reflected in what the universe becomes. This journey is not about achieving material success but about understanding the true purpose that pulses behind every human heart, about feeling the grandeur of being part of something much greater than ourselves. The universal laws, the hidden guidelines that govern us, are not meant to imprison us in rules and obligations. On the contrary, they are like a map of consciousness, a guide that helps us understand and navigate the complexities of life with more purpose and clarity. Think of a river. It flows incessantly, bending around obstacles, finding new directions, always in search of the ocean that is its final destination. So are we, seeking the understanding of who we are and the role we play in this magnificent cosmic tapestry. But we are not alone in our search. Each of us is a thread that makes up this tapestry, contributing our own color, texture, and essence. It is this interconnectedness that the universal laws help us understand and, ultimately, to live. The purpose of this journey is to connect us not only with the principles that shape the universe but also with the principles that shape our inner being. It is an invitation to see beyond the illusion of separation, to realize that at our core, we are all one being, moving towards a common purpose. When we embrace this perspective, life ceases to be a mere accumulation of moments and transforms into a sacred dance, full of meaning and beauty. Let these words invite you to look within yourself, to question the perceptions that limit you, and to open yourself to the vast potential of who you truly are. This is the beginning of the journey, an opening to true self-discovery. Let's move together and explore each of the universal laws, diving into the depths of spiritual knowledge that resides in our core, waiting to be awakened. Law number 1. Law of divine unity. Imagine a vast and infinite fabric, where every thread contributes to the creation of an immense tapestry. Each thread, no matter how small and seemingly insignificant, plays an essential role in the beauty and integrity of the whole. This is the essence of the law of divine unity, the notion that we are not isolated, that we are not disconnected beings wandering alone, but interconnected parts of a single universal consciousness. We are all intertwined threads, and when we observe the tapestry as a whole, we realize that there is no real separation between us. There is only the beauty of unity. This is a truth that challenges our ego. The ego insists on the idea that we are separate entities, that our problems, our achievements, our pains are unique and personal. But divine unity reveals the opposite. Everything we experience reverberates throughout the universe, like a drop falling into a tranquil lake, creating ripples that reach every corner of the surface. Actions, thoughts, and intentions are not isolated. They are the drops that shape the tides of existence. Consider a moment in your life when you offered help to someone in need. Perhaps it was a simple gesture like listening to a friend in a moment of pain, or donating a bit of your time to a stranger. What seemed like an isolated act, done in silence without the expectation of recognition, is actually a manifestation of the law of divine unity. That small act reverberates, creating a wave of kindness that surpasses the person you helped, propagating beyond what the eyes can see. Perhaps that person was inspired to help another, and this action was repeated, in an endless cycle of compassion. We are responsible for one another because we are reflections of one another. When I see someone suffering and choose to ignore it, I am, in a way, choosing to ignore my own suffering. When I celebrate another's happiness and success, I am celebrating a spark of happiness that is also within me. This understanding transforms our perception of life. Every act of kindness, every word of comfort, every positive intention is a celebration of our unity and the power we have to transform the world around us. The philosophy of non-duality, present in so many spiritual traditions, reminds us that separation is an illusion, an ego trick to convince us that we are alone on our journey. However, when we look deeper, we realize that our hearts beat in rhythm with the universe. The same energy that animates a river is the one that gives life to our bodies. The same essence that moves the stars also moves our thoughts and dreams. In daily life, we can apply this law by cultivating empathy and compassion. When we see others as an extension of ourselves, their pains become our pains, their joys become our joys. This does not mean carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, but rather recognizing that collective well-being is fundamental to our own well-being. If each of us takes on this responsibility, every action, no matter how small, will have a positive impact on the whole. As we look at the current world, full of conflicts, divisions, and suffering, the law of divine unity calls us to urgent action. To remember that we are not separate, that boundaries are artificial constructs, and that, in essence, every human being, every tree, every animal is part of a harmonious whole. The healing of our planet begins with healing our perception, with dissolving the illusion of separation and embracing the unity that connects us. May we see ourselves in the eyes of others, recognizing that every encounter, every exchange, is a mirror of ourselves. May we act with the awareness that there are no others. There is only us, together, navigating the vastness of this universe, one heart, one consciousness. And, in doing so, may we transform our lives and, consequently, the world around us. Law number 2. Law of vibration. Everything in the universe is movement. The densest rock, the light of the farthest stars, the warmth we feel in a hug, everything is composed of vibrations pulsing at different frequencies. This is the essence of the law of vibration. The truth that, at its most fundamental level, everything is energy, everything vibrates, and is in constant transformation. Imagine a grand symphony, where each instrument emits a unique frequency, but together they create harmony. This is the universe. Every being, every atom vibrates with its own frequency, and together they create the music of the cosmos. The universe vibrates and we vibrate too. Our thoughts, feelings, and intentions have their own frequencies, and it is often this that defines our life experience. When we vibrate at the frequency of gratitude, joy, or compassion, we align ourselves with the highest frequencies and consequently attract experiences and people that resonate with that energy. It is not about magic or superficial wishes but rather about a natural law, like the sound that echoes when a string is plucked. Everything we emit returns to us in unexpected and often miraculous ways. Think of a moment when you were enveloped in negative thoughts, perhaps on a day when anger, frustration, or fear dominated your mind. The energy you emitted in that state was like a vibrational field that attracted more of what you were feeling. Situations seemed to worsen, communication with others became more difficult, and life itself felt like a reflection of the thoughts vibrating in your mind. But think too of a moment when, even amidst difficulties, you chose to vibrate in hope and love. Miraculously, things began to transform. People appeared to offer help, unexpected solutions arose. This is the law of vibration in action. There is a concept in Hindu philosophy called Nada Brahma, which means the universe is sound. This ancient idea speaks to us about the transformative power of vibration. Sound, as a physical manifestation of vibration, is one of the most powerful means to elevate our frequency. Sacred chants, mantras, music, all of this can alter our vibrational state, taking us from states of anxiety and fear to states of serenity and joy. When we vibrate in harmony with the universe, we become a channel for the manifestation of that which is divine. Practices like meditation are essential to help us connect with our true vibration. When we meditate, we set aside distractions and tune our internal frequency to something higher. It's like a tuner adjusting a musical instrument. We bring our mind, body, and spirit into the proper resonance so that we can play the melody of life in harmony with the cosmos. Mantras, as sacred sounds repeated during meditation, also play an important role, as each syllable carries a specific vibration that helps align our own energy. There is also the vibration of our actions and words. As beings living in constant interaction, we not only feel our own vibration but share our energies with those around us. A word of love, a gesture of kindness, are expressions of vibration that have the power to transform reality not only for us but also for others. That is why it is said that the energy we give to the world is the energy the world gives back to us. If we vibrate in generosity, we will receive generosity. If we vibrate in criticism or judgment, we will receive that same frequency back. Imagine a crystal goblet. When a sound of a similar frequency is emitted, the goblet resonates, vibrating in harmony. We are like that goblet. We vibrate in response to the energies around us, and we have the capacity to choose which vibrations we wish to emit and which we wish to receive. If we surround our lives with beauty, harmony, and peace, our vibrations naturally elevate. If we cultivate the awareness of our thoughts, seeking to purify them through meditation, prayer, and the constant practice of gratitude, We create a vibrational field around us that attracts experiences reflecting that elevated energy. The law of vibration invites us to pay attention to the music we are creating and emitting to the universe. It asks us to tune our frequency to the highest truth of who we are, and this requires conscious practice. It is a daily choice to elevate thoughts, to transform negative emotions, to seek the light even when darkness seems closer. Each moment is a new opportunity to tune our being, to find the harmony that echoes with the whole, and thus play our unique melody in the grand orchestra of the cosmos. May we, then, be conscious of the vibrations we emit. May we choose each day to vibrate at the frequency of love, compassion, and peace, knowing that, in doing so, we not only transform our own lives but also contribute to universal harmony. For, in the end, we are all notes in an eternal symphony, vibrating together in the vastness of the cosmos. Law number 3, law of action. Thinking, desiring, dreaming, all of these are essential elements of the human journey. They lead us to explore possibilities, to imagine a better future, and to visualize paths that could lead us to our purpose. But no real transformation happens without action. The law of action reminds us that the spirit needs movement in the material world to manifest, that ideas, no matter how beautiful and inspiring, need concrete actions to become reality. It is through action that the energy of the spirit takes form, that the invisible becomes visible, and the abstract transforms into something tangible. Think of a tree. The seed, buried in the darkness of the earth, is the idea, the potential waiting to manifest. But for it to become a leafy tree, something needs to happen. The seed must break through the ground, extend its roots, seek the sun. Every small action it takes, every little effort, contributes to its great mission of becoming that for which it was created. Similarly, our desires and purposes are seeds in our hearts, waiting for the moment we are brave enough to act, to break through the earth and seek the light. However, the law of action teaches us that not all actions are created equal. True action, the one that creates a lasting impact, arises from a pure intention aligned with our highest purpose. In Vedic philosophy, there is a concept known as karma yoga, which is the path of selfless action, work done without attachment to the results. This is the highest form of action, when our action becomes an offering to the divine, an act of love and devotion to the greater good, not guided by the desire for rewards or recognition. When we act without expecting anything in return, when our actions are driven by compassion, service, and a genuine desire to contribute, we become channels of universal energy. We become like rivers flowing to nourish everything around us, unconcerned about where they end. This is the beauty of selfless action. It is a natural, free flow that is not tied to the ego but to the very essence of being. It does not matter the size of what we do, whether it's a small kindness or a great contribution to humanity, it is the intention behind the action that determines its spiritual potency. There is profound wisdom in acting even when the results are uncertain, even when we don't know if our actions will have the impact we desire. Often, we hesitate to act because we fear failure, because we want guarantees that our efforts will succeed. But the law of action teaches us that the act of acting is, in itself, the manifestation of our faith. It is our way of declaring to the universe that we believe in what we are doing, that we are willing to take the first step, even if we cannot see the entire path ahead. When we connect with our purpose, actions flow naturally. Think of a musician lost in their music, or a dancer merging with the rhythm of the song. They are not concerned with the final result, they are not acting to impress, but rather to express what is inside them in a pure and true way. So too should be our approach to action, a dance, an expression of what is most authentic in us, performed without expectations but with an unwavering confidence that we are contributing something valuable to the universe. The law of action also challenges us to step out of inertia. How many times do we find ourselves paralyzed, waiting for circumstances to change, for the right moment to arrive? The truth is that the right moment is always now. The world does not change merely because of good intentions or grand dreams. It changes when we choose to act, when we decide that even a small step taken now is more valuable than 1,000 great steps we imagine taking in the future. Every small movement toward our purpose brings us closer to what we truly wish to create. And in acting we are transformed. Action creates change not only in the world around us but also within ourselves. Every act of courage, every decision to serve, every choice to move forward despite challenges shapes our character, strengthens our faith, and connects us more deeply to the flow of life. We become not just passive observers of existence but active creators, beings who, through each action, contribute to the continuous evolution of the cosmos. So, may we act, may we break through the barriers of fear and doubt, may we surrender to the flow of action, not as slaves to the result, but as artists creating with heart. May our actions be a reflection of our deepest essence, a manifestation of the divine that resides in each of us. For, in the end, it is not just what we do that matters, but rather the intention and truth we put into each act. Law number 4. Law of correspondence. As above, so below. This ancient Hermetic axiom echoes the fundamental truth of the law of correspondence, which teaches us that what exists in the macrocosm reflects the microcosm and vice versa. The universe and our inner being are like mirrors to one another, each reflecting the laws, patterns, and essence of the other. Everything we experience in our external world is a reflection of what is happening within us. Our external reality is ultimately a mirror of our internal state. Imagine for a moment a room full of mirrors. When we stand before them, there is no way to hide who we are. Each mirror reflects exactly what is in front of it. So it is with the universe. It reflects us, shows us who we are, not to judge us but so that we can learn, so that we can grow. If we look at our life and see chaos, conflict, and imbalance, it is an invitation to look within, to find the chaos that is vibrating in our own being. If the world around us seems empty and purposeless, it may be a reflection of an inner disconnection with our highest purpose. The law of correspondence is a profound call to personal responsibility. It is a reminder that the power to transform our external reality lies within us. Just as the water in a lake reflects the image of the trees surrounding it, our external world reflects our beliefs, our fears, and our dreams. If we wish to change the reflection, we must first change what is being reflected. It is not about controlling what is outside but mastering what is within. Internal work is the catalyst for all true and lasting change. Many spiritual traditions speak of the importance of introspection, meditation, and self-analysis. These are practices that help us transform our internal state, aligning mind, body, and spirit so that we can create harmony and balance within ourselves. Imagine a garden. If you want your garden to flourish, you do not start changing the weather or warding off storms. You start by nurturing the soil, planting good seeds, and pulling out weeds. The inner garden, our internal world of thoughts and emotions, works the same way. When we plant positive thoughts, nurture emotions of love, and remove judgments and criticisms, the world around us begins to change, albeit slowly. The law of correspondence challenges us to abandon the idea that we are victims of circumstance. Everything we see and experience is an opportunity for self-discovery, an invitation to understand how our beliefs and perceptions shape our reality. If a difficult situation arises in our lives, we can ask, what within me resonates with this situation? What belief, what fear, what internal pattern is being reflected by this event? By asking these questions, we begin to unravel the mystery of our own existence and work towards genuine transformation. There is also an inspiring aspect to this law. If the entire universe is a reflection of us, then we have the power to positively influence the whole by transforming ourselves. When we cultivate peace, harmony, and love within, these qualities begin to reflect in the external world. We do not need to change the entire world, we only need to transform ourselves, and that transformation, like a point of light in a dark sky, begins to illuminate everything around. Small changes within us have the power to trigger great transformations, just as a simple spark can ignite a flame that warms an entire night. We can see the law of correspondence in the small things of daily life as well. When we wake up in the morning and dedicate a few minutes to gratitude, silence, and meditation, we find that the rest of the day reflects that serenity and clarity. When we start a dialogue with kindness and understanding, we often see the other respond with the same type of energy. When we face a situation with calmness and acceptance, rather than resistance and fear, the situation itself tends to harmonize in ways we could not foresee. And thus, change begins. It begins not outside, but within. It is like a small ray of light that, when released from an opening, expands and illuminates an entire dark space. Internal work is the key to manifesting what we desire externally. The search for external peace begins with inner peace. The desire for abundance begins with a sense of completeness within us. The yearning for love is answered when we start to love ourselves unconditionally. Every correspondence between our inner being and the universe is a reminder that we have the power and the responsibility to create our own reality. May we then look at the world around us with new eyes, seeing it as a mirror of our own being. May we embrace each reflection, whether of light or shadow, as a gift from the universe, an opportunity to learn and evolve. For, in the end, there is no real separation between what is outside and what is inside. There is only a continuous correspondence, an eternal reflection of the universe in our soul and our soul in the universe. Law number 5. Law of cause and effect, karma. Imagine that life is like a tranquil lake. Every action we take is like a stone thrown into that lake, creating ripples that propagate across the surface. The law of cause and effect, or karma, is the reminder that every thought, every word, and every deed generates an inevitable consequence. Just as the waves return to the shore, our actions return to us, shaping our journey. Karma is a law of balance, an invisible weaving that connects our actions to what we reap in our lives, in this existence or in others. The concept of karma is not an idea of punishment or reward. It is, in fact, a perfect reflection of universal justice. Many spiritual traditions speak to us about this law, which shows us that everything we emanate, whether kindness, compassion, fear, or anger, comes back to us. Not as punishment or prize, but as an opportunity for learning. Every situation we face in life, whether pleasant or challenging, is the return of a seed we planted. That seed, when it germinates, teaches us about our own choices, offering us the chance to do differently, to act more consciously and harmoniously. Consider a fertile field. You plant the seeds you choose, perhaps sunflower seeds or perhaps weeds. The field does not judge what you plant. It simply provides the environment for the seeds to grow. Similarly, the universe is a field that receives every intention and action we take, allowing them to germinate and grow. Planting good actions and intentions ensures that what we reap is full of light and positivity. And even if for some reason we plant seeds of pain or hurt, we always have the opportunity to learn, to start anew, to transform. Karma is in many ways a compassionate teacher. It does not impose the weight of our actions as a form of rigid retribution, but rather as a reflection that aims for our growth. If, for example, we cause someone suffering, we will likely face situations that make us feel what we have caused, not to be punished, but so that we can experience and thus understand and transform our consciousness. By living the consequences of our actions, we have the chance to develop empathy, to understand the impact of our deeds, and to choose a more conscious and loving path. Imagine, for example, a candle that is lit in a dark space. The light of that candle not only illuminates the surroundings but also influences all other candles nearby, which may be lit by its flame. So are our positive actions, our acts of kindness and love. When we choose to act with heart, we spread light, ignite other candles, and eventually that light returns to us in unexpected and beautiful ways. This is the beauty of karma, the cycle of cause and effect, where every good deed, no matter how small it seems, has the potential to generate a wave of positivity that returns to its point of origin. However, there is also a challenging aspect to this law, which is the recognition of our personal responsibility. We are ultimately responsible for our reality. We are not victims of fate, but conscious co-creators of everything we experience. This responsibility may seem heavy, but it is also incredibly liberating. It means that we have the power to change our lives at any moment, to plant new seeds, to act with more awareness and to transform our karma. If we have made choices that brought us pain, we can start making new choices now, nurturing our inner garden with love, patience, and compassion. The law of cause and effect invites us to live intentionally. Every spoken word, every nurtured thought, every choice we make is a seed we cast upon the soil of the universe. When we consciously choose to plant seeds of kindness, empathy, and service to others, we are building a future of harmony for ourselves and those around us. Each day, each moment, we have the chance to rewrite our destiny, to align our actions with our highest purposes, thus creating a virtuous circle that expands infinitely. And above all, it is important to remember that karma is not an inescapable burden but rather a constant opportunity for renewal and growth. With each action, we have the potential to learn, to change, to evolve. We can transform our karma, cultivating good deeds to balance the mistakes of the past and redirect the course of our journey. Just as a river can change its course upon encountering a new landscape, we too can change the flow of our lives at any moment, guiding our actions with love, wisdom, and awareness. May we then be the gardeners of our own lives, planting and nurturing the seeds of our actions with care and love. May we understand that every small choice, every gesture, and every word has the power to shape our destiny, and that, by acting with full awareness, we can contribute to a cycle of light and kindness, knowing that, like the ripples in a lake, everything we do returns and everything we give to the world is, in the end, what we receive back. Law number 6. Law of compensation. The law of compensation is an expression of cosmic balance, a reflection of universal justice that ensures that everything we do, give, or emanate eventually returns to us in equivalent form. Just as a fertile field always returns to the earth the care that has been given to it, the universe has its own way of compensating our efforts, our intentions, and our actions. It is a law of retribution that reminds us that, inevitably, we reap what we sow, not only in terms of material results but also in our spiritual and emotional evolution. In the context of our life purpose, the law of compensation is deeply connected to the concept of dharma, which in many Eastern traditions represents personal duty or purpose. Dharma is what aligns us with the natural flow of the universe. When we live in accordance with our dharma, we are rewarded with a sense of peace, purpose, and fulfillment. Thus, the law of compensation teaches us that by giving our best, by fulfilling our role with dedication and sincerity, the universe will inevitably reward us, not only with material goods but with the satisfaction of living in a meaningful and aligned way. Imagine an artisan who dedicates their life to creating beautiful and unique works. They do not worry about how long each piece will take to finish, or whether someone will notice their work immediately. They pour love, attention, and devotion into every detail, for their greatest desire is not recognition but the full expression of who they are through their work. The compensation they receive is not necessarily in praise or the price paid for their works but in the joy and deep satisfaction they feel upon completing something that is part of their own essence. This is the kind of compensation that is true and lasting, a reward that fills us from within and that the universe offers when we are aligned with our highest purpose. The law of compensation also speaks of the reciprocity between giving and receiving. There is a balance that must be maintained. Both the act of giving and the act of receiving are fundamental to the flow of universal energy. Often, we are taught that it is nobler to give than to receive, but true harmony lies in knowing how to do both with an open heart. Giving without expecting anything in return connects us to the flow of the universe, but we also need to learn to receive with gratitude and humility. Life is like breathing, there is a time to exhale and a time to inhale. If we focus solely on one part of this cycle, we interrupt the natural flow. Thus, both in offering and accepting, we allow energy to move freely, fulfilling its role in our journey. There are moments in life when it seems we are continuously giving, without seeing an immediate reward. Perhaps we are offering our time, love, and energy to others, and we feel we are not receiving in the same measure. The law of compensation invites us to trust that balance will always be restored. What we give, whether an act of kindness, a word of comfort, or a pure intention, will be compensated by the universe, even if not in the way we expect or at the moment we desire. Life has a mysterious way of returning to us what we give, often when we least expect it and in ways we could never foresee. Imagine the cycle of nature. When a tree bears fruit, it does not expect something in return. Its fruits fall, nourish other beings, and its seeds find fertile soil to grow. Sometime later, those seeds become new trees and the cycle continues. Similarly, our actions, even the seemingly small ones, have the power to generate new possibilities that will eventually return to us, enriching our lives in significant ways. It may not be immediate, but the universe always finds ways to compensate us for everything we offer with a heart. It is also important to remember that compensation is not limited to material aspects. Often, the greatest reward we receive is in our inner growth, in the peace of mind that arises when we know we have done the right thing, or in the satisfaction we feel from being helpful and contributing to someone's well-being. True wealth is not measured by what we possess, but by the value of experiences, the depth of love, and the joy we feel in being part of something greater. When we dedicate ourselves to our dharma, when we offer our energy with sincerity and devotion, compensation reaches us in the form of purpose, connection, and a feeling of being exactly where we should be. Thus, the law of compensation invites us to live consciously, to recognize that every act, every intention, every energy we send to the world is a seed that will eventually return to us in abundance. By becoming generous in our actions, by offering our best without clinging to what we will receive back, we align ourselves with the flow of the universe, and inevitably, the balance of compensation manifests in our lives. When we give love, we receive love. When we plant kindness, we reap kindness. And when we fulfill our purpose, the universe rewards us with the joy of living fully. May we, then, be generous in giving and humble in receiving, allowing universal energy to flow freely through us. May we remember that by offering the best of ourselves, we are contributing to the balance of all creation, and that at some point what we give will return to us, multiplied. Thus, life becomes a harmonious dance of giving and receiving, a cycle of infinite abundance that connects us all and everything. Law number 7, Law of Attraction. The law of attraction teaches us a profound truth about our existence. We attract into our lives that which resonates with our frequency. Just as a magnet is able to attract metal objects around it, we, as vibrational beings, also attract people, circumstances, and experiences that correspond to the energy we emit. This law is a manifestation of the creative power that each of us possesses, a reminder that we are co-creators of our own reality, where our thoughts and emotions shape what we live. There is a common misconception that the law of attraction is only about wishing for material goods or specific experiences. But, in reality, this law goes far beyond the superficial. It is about aligning with the deepest desires of our soul, listening to what truly calls us and vibrating at the same frequency as those yearnings. The philosophy of yoga speaks to us about sankalpa, an intention that comes from the core of our being, an authentic purpose that transcends fleeting desires and aligns with our true life purpose. When we are in harmony with our sankalpa, the universe conspires for everything around us to begin adjusting and manifesting what we desire. Imagine a radio station. You can only hear the music from a station if you tune into the correct frequency. If you are out of tune, you will only hear static. The law of attraction works similarly. Our thoughts and feelings are the frequencies we emit, and the universe responds to those frequencies by bringing us experiences that match them. If we vibrate in fear, insecurity, and scarcity, we will attract situations that resonate with those emotions. But if we choose to vibrate in love, gratitude, and abundance, we will begin to attract people and circumstances into our lives that reflect those elevated feelings. The beauty of this law is that it gives us the power to change our reality, starting from within. Our thoughts and emotions are not just passive reflections of what happens around us. They are, in fact, the force that creates our life experience. If we cultivate positive thoughts, if we nourish emotions of hope, love, and trust, we will start to see concrete changes in the external world. It is not a matter of ignoring challenges or avoiding difficult feelings, but rather choosing, consciously, where we want to place our focus and what vibration we wish to maintain. Imagine a garden. Every thought and every emotion we cultivate are like seeds we plant in that garden. If we plant seeds of love and care, we will see leafy trees and colorful flowers flourish. But if we sow seeds of fear, doubt, or anger, what will grow will be thorns and weeds. The law of attraction is a reminder that we are the gardeners of our own inner field and that we have the power to choose what we plant. Thus, by intentionally cultivating positive thoughts and feelings, we begin to attract experiences that reflect that care and attention. However, the law of attraction also requires a deep sincerity with oneself. It is not enough to say we want something if, deep down, we do not believe we deserve it or if we vibrate in insecurity. The universe does not respond merely to words, it responds to the truth of our vibration. Therefore, the internal work of self-knowledge and acceptance is fundamental. We need to be in tune with who we really are and what we truly desire, and to believe in the possibility of manifestation. By nurturing positive beliefs about ourselves and about life, we create a vibrational field that facilitates the materialization of our desires. A simple example of this is the practice of gratitude. When we are grateful for what we already have, we are vibrating at an elevated frequency of abundance. This vibration attracts more things for which to be grateful. Gratitude places us in a position of recognizing what is already good in our lives, and by doing so, we attract more of what is good. It is like lighting a candle in a dark environment. The light that emerges not only dispels the darkness but also allows us to see what was previously hidden. Thus, when we focus on what is already positive, we attract more light and clarity to our existence. The law of attraction invites us to be active creators, to take responsibility for the energy we emit and the experiences we live. It reminds us that the power lies within us, that we are not passive victims of circumstances, but beings who have the capacity to shape our own reality. This does not mean we will never face challenges, but rather that we can choose how to respond to them and, with that, determine what kind of energy we wish to perpetuate. May we then vibrate in tune with our highest purpose. May we nurture thoughts and emotions that bring us closer to what we truly desire. May, by aligning our heart, mind, and spirit, we attract into our lives the experiences that will help us grow and evolve. For, in the end, we attract that which we are, and by becoming the best version of ourselves, we begin to manifest a life that reflects all the beauty, love, and fullness that exists within us. Law number 8. Law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Energy is constant and eternal. It never disappears, only transforms. This is the principle that leads us to the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. At its core, this law teaches us that all energy, whether dense and negative or light and vibrant, is in a continuous process of transmutation, and that we have the power to influence this process. We are all alchemists in our own lives, capable of transforming pain into growth, darkness into light, and challenges into opportunities for evolution. Imagine a piece of coal in your hands. At first glance, it seems rough, opaque, and of little apparent value. But when subjected to intense pressure and heat, it transforms into a diamond, one of the brightest and most precious substances that exist. This metaphor captures the essence of the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Any experience in our lives can be transformed into something of invaluable worth, as long as we have the courage and willingness to subject our energy to the necessary process of transformation. Often we encounter dense emotions, fear, sadness, anger, that seem to paralyze or drag us down. However, the law of transmutation reminds us that these energies are not permanent. They have the potential to be transformed into something positive. For example, anger, when channeled constructively, can become a force for motivation and change. Sadness, when embraced with acceptance and compassion, can transform into a depth of understanding and emotional connection that makes us more empathetic. The key to transmutation lies in our willingness to face these energies, to accept them without judgment, and to allow them to teach and transform us. Albert Einstein once said, "Energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed." This physical truth also applies to our spiritual and emotional reality. The suffering we carry does not have to be an eternal burden. It can be transformed into wisdom, strength, and a new understanding of life. This transformation does not happen through denial or repression of our emotions, but rather through acceptance and the willingness to integrate them into our being. When we embrace every part of ourselves, including the parts we consider dark or unwanted, we have the power to transmute them into something that elevates us and helps us grow. There are many tools and practices that assist us in the process of energy transmutation. Meditation, for example, is a powerful practice that helps us observe our thoughts and emotions without fully identifying with them. By doing this, we create a space for transformation, where dense energy can rise and transform into something lighter and more harmonious. Mantras, with their sacred vibrations, are also a way to transmute energy. When we chant a mantra, the repetition of sound creates a frequency that can elevate our vibration, transmuting negative states into states of peace and clarity. Another example of transmutation lies in the act of serving others. When we are absorbed by our own pain and worries, we often feel trapped in a spiral of negativity. However, by diverting our attention to the well-being of others, by engaging in altruistic actions, we transmute our own energy. The pain we feel, instead of consuming us, becomes a force of empathy that leads us to help, and this process brings us relief and fills us with a sense of purpose. Transmutation, therefore, is not just an individual process. It is also an act of connection and service. Nature is perhaps the greatest example of the perpetual transmutation of energy. Think of a forest. When a tree dies and falls to the ground, its wood begins to decompose, transforming into nutrients that enrich the soil, allowing new plants to be born. Nothing is lost, everything transforms. So it happens in our lives. Every end carries with it the seed of a new beginning. Every loss carries with it the possibility of renewal. Even when we face challenges that seem insurmountable, the energy contained in those challenges can be transformed into a force of creation and rebirth. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy is an invitation for us to become alchemists of our own lives. To see difficult moments not as definitive condemnations, but as raw materials for our own evolution. Every pain, every mistake, every failure carries with it the potential to be transformed into something beautiful and luminous. The choice to transform negative energy into learning and growth, is in our hands. May we, then, embrace every part of our journey with courage. May we recognize that we are beings in constant transformation, and that even in the shadows, there is light waiting to be discovered. May we transform every challenge, every sadness, every dense emotion into something that elevates us and brings us closer to our true being. For, in the end, everything is energy, and the choice of how it manifests is in our power. Law number 9, Law of Relativity. The law of relativity reminds us that nothing in the universe is absolute. Everything depends on perspective. This law teaches that the circumstances, challenges, and experiences we live can only be truly understood when placed in context, in relation to other situations and our own point of view. Life is a constant dance of opposites, of contrasts that give meaning to what we live. Nothing is intrinsically good or bad, big or small, difficult or easy. Everything depends on how we choose to look in the lens we use to interpret what happens to us. Imagine for a moment being in a hot air balloon, slowly rising through the skies. Observing the world from above, houses, people, and cars seem smaller and less significant. What seemed immense and frightening on the ground becomes a dot on the landscape, losing the grandeur it once possessed. This change in perspective is exactly what the law of relativity invites us to do in our lives. To perceive that the difficulties we face are relative, dependent on the angle we choose to view them, and that often, with a new vision, they lose the weight and force they used to have. The challenges we face have a profound purpose: to help us grow and expand our consciousness. When we encounter difficult situations, we often fall into the trap of comparison. We look at those who seem to have easier lives, fewer problems, and feel disadvantaged or wronged. But the law of relativity teaches us that each challenge is relative to our own journey. We cannot measure our path using the paths of others as a reference. Each of us is on a unique trajectory, with specific challenges aligned with our personal and spiritual growth. For example, a problem that seems unbearable today may be seen as a small difficulty in a few years, when we have developed new skills, strengthened our resilience, and expanded our worldview. When we were children, perhaps a scraped knee or the loss of a toy felt like monumental crises. Today, looking back at those memories, we realize how much we have grown and how much our perspective has changed. The same happens with the challenges of adult life. What now seems impossible may actually be an invitation to look beyond the immediate, to expand our consciousness, and to realize the relativity of our pain and experiences. A powerful way to apply the law of relativity in our lives is through gratitude. When we feel overwhelmed by challenges, the practice of gratitude helps us shift our perspective. By choosing to focus on the things we are grateful for, rather than merely concentrating on what we lack or what is difficult, we change our frequency and, consequently, our perception of problems. Gratitude is a powerful lens that transforms what seemed a burden into an opportunity for growth, reminding us that, despite difficulties, there are still many good things in our lives for which we can be grateful. Imagine walking along a mountain trail. At certain moments, the ascent is steep, the rocks seem to block the path, and fatigue sets in. But when we pause for a moment and look back, we realize how far we have come, the view unfolding before us, the majestic landscape that can only be seen because we face the climb. Life works the same way. Difficult moments are what lead us to the highest points, where we can gain a new perspective, a new understanding. And every obstacle we overcome gives us a new perspective, a new capacity to look at ourselves and the world around us with more compassion and wisdom. It is also important to remember that the law of relativity teaches us not to compare ourselves to others in harmful ways. Often we see people who seem to have fewer challenges or who appear more successful, and we feel small in comparison. But each of us is living our own journey, and what seems a perfect life from the outside may have its own invisible difficulties and battles. The only valid comparison is the one we make with ourselves, recognizing our own growth, our own evolution, and striving to be a better version of who we were yesterday. Challenges are, in fact, opportunities for expansion. They allow us to develop virtues that we might not cultivate in times of ease. They allow us to discover our strength, our resilience, and our ability to overcome. Every difficulty is a chance to look within, to question limiting beliefs, to realign with our highest purpose. And when we understand that everything is relative, we see that suffering is not something that defines us, but rather a path through which we can grow and transform. May we, then, apply the law of relativity in our lives by changing our perspective on the challenges we face. May we realize that everything is relative, that the difficulties we live are merely part of a greater process of evolution and learning, and that, by choosing to look from a higher point of view, we can see challenges as teachers, as opportunities for growth, and as part of a journey that, despite difficulties, is beautiful and full of purpose. Law number 10. Law of polarity. The law of polarity teaches us that everything in the universe has its opposite. Light and darkness, heat and cold, joy and sadness. All things exist in pairs, and it is precisely through this duality that we can make sense of experiences. Without darkness, we would never understand the value of light. Without sadness, joy would lack depth. This law reminds us that life is an experience full of contrasts, and that these polarities are essential for our growth and broader understanding of what it means to be human. Imagine that life is like a coin. Each coin has two sides, and each side depends on the other for its existence. Polarity, therefore, is not about dividing reality between good and bad, but understanding that each experience is part of a greater whole. If we think of an electromagnet, we know that it can only function because it has a positive pole and a negative pole. It is this duality that creates the force and makes magnetism exist. So it is with our lives. It is the opposites, the extremes, that generate movement, that create the possibility of expansion and transformation. When we encounter difficult situations, we often feel trapped in the negative polarity. We may feel pain, frustration, anger, or discouragement. However, the law of polarity reminds us that within every seemingly negative situation lies the potential for something positive. Pain carries within it the seed of healing, doubt contains the key to discovery, and darkness is the backdrop against which light can be most appreciated. When we accept that every aspect of life has its opposite, we begin to see that even in the most difficult moments, there is an opportunity for learning and growth. Nietzsche's philosophy captures this idea well. What does not kill us makes us stronger. The experiences of pain and suffering which we often wish to avoid are also those that strengthen us, that help us grow, and allow us to access parts of ourselves that would otherwise remain dormant. Think of an athlete training for a marathon. They challenge themselves, face fatigue, physical pain, the limits of their body, and it is precisely this polarity, the pain and effort on one side, the strength and victory on the other, that enables them to reach the goal and experience overcoming. Just as darkness and light coexist, the potential of every moment of adversity contains the opposite, the possibility of transformation. When we look at moments of challenge with the perspective that they are opportunities for growth, we begin to realize that we are not trapped in negative polarity. We can choose to change our perception and see difficulty as an opportunity to access inner strength, resilience, love, and compassion. Every obstacle holds within it the power to elevate us, and every loss is a door that opens to a new possibility. Consider a pendulum swinging from side to side. It cannot move to one extreme without passing through the other. Likewise, our lives are a constant movement between poles, and it is in the midst of this movement that we find growth. Every joy we experience is more intense because we know pain, and every moment of peace is deeper because we have experienced chaos. Life is not about avoiding one extreme in favor of the other, but about learning to navigate between poles, understanding that one always complements the other. The law of polarity invites us to accept all aspects of our existence, both light and shadow, both highs and lows. When we deny one side, we remain incomplete. The beauty of polarity is that it allows us to have a complete experience of life. If we look at our own shadows with acceptance, if we understand that they are part of who we are and that they are necessary for our growth, we begin to integrate all aspects of our being. Light is only complete when it also illuminates shadows. The secret to applying the law of polarity in our lives is to find balance, to welcome every experience without resistance, understanding that every pain brings a lesson and every joy is the result of a journey that included challenges. When we face difficulties, we can ask ourselves, what is the opposite of this moment? What positive potential is hidden within this experience? By doing this, we create space for the opposite to reveal itself, for the light to appear even in moments of darkness. Think of a starry night. The beauty of the stars is only visible because the night is dark. If there were no darkness, the light of the stars could never be appreciated in all its magnitude. So too are our lives. The moments of challenge, the phases of sadness, and the difficulties we face are the dark backdrop that allows the light of our soul to shine more brightly. Every experience, every polarity, is an opportunity to reveal who we truly are, to understand that we are complex beings, containing both light and shadow, and that it is precisely this duality that makes us whole. May we, then, accept life in all its fullness. May we recognize polarity in every situation and use it as a drive for growth. May the light and shadow within us be seen not as enemies but as partners, working together to take us to new levels of consciousness and evolution. For, in the end, life is a game of opposites, and it is in the balance between them that we find our true essence. Law number 11, Law of Rhythm. Just as the tides of the ocean rise and fall, life is governed by cycles and patterns, and everything is in constant motion, oscillating between extremes. This is the essence of the law of rhythm. It teaches us that, just as there are cycles in nature, the seasons of the year, the movement of the moon, day and night, there are also cycles in our lives, moments of expansion and moments of contraction. The secret to living in harmony with the law of rhythm is learning to flow with these cycles, embracing both the highs and the lows, not with resistance, but with acceptance and serenity. Imagine the waves of the sea, advancing and receding on the beach. There is no resistance in the way the waters move. They flow naturally, following the rhythm dictated by the moon and the forces of nature. Similarly, life asks us to follow its natural rhythm, to not resist the low tides, but to accept them as an inevitable and necessary part of the flow. Just as we know that winter will give way to spring, we can trust that periods of difficulty in our lives will give way to times of growth and renewal. Everything is in constant change, and accepting this movement is key to finding peace. Cycles are not only external but also internal. There are moments when we feel full of energy, creative, ready to act and accomplish. And there are moments when we feel tired, introspective, needing withdrawal and rest. The law of rhythm teaches us that these cycles are natural and necessary. Life is made up of ups and downs, and each phase has its own value. Often we feel frustrated when we perceive a lack of progress or find ourselves in a phase of stagnation. But it is important to remember that contraction is merely preparation for expansion. Just as a bow needs to be pulled back before launching an arrow, moments of introspection and pause are essential for the next advancement. In Taoist philosophy, we find the concept of Wu Wei, which can be translated as acting without effort or acting in accordance with the flow. This idea invites us to be like water, flowing without resistance, adapting to circumstances, knowing when it is time to move forward and when it is time to retreat. Water does not fight against obstacles. It flows around rocks, finds new paths, and eventually reaches the ocean. Thus, by following the rhythm of life, we learn to adapt to cycles, to respect our own moments of low energy, and to trust that each phase is necessary for our growth. Resistance is what often causes us suffering. When we try to fight against the natural rhythm of life, we feel exhausted, disconnected, and directionless. But when we accept cycles, when we allow ourselves to flow with what is happening, we find peace even in the most challenging moments. It is like dancing to the rhythm of music. If we try to move out of rhythm, the dance becomes uncomfortable, heavy. But if we surrender to the rhythm, let the music guide us, the dance becomes light, graceful. The law of rhythm is the music that plays in our lives, and our task is to learn to dance with it, rather than resist its movement. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. He knows there is a time to sow, a time to wait, and a time to reap. He does not rush, does not try to force nature to follow his own schedule. He respects the rhythm of the earth, understands that each season has its own importance. So should we with our own processes. There is a time to plant dreams and work towards our goals, but there is also a time to wait, to rest, and allow the seeds to grow. When we respect the rhythm, we feel no hurry or frustration. We feel trust, for we know that each phase has its purpose. The law of rhythm also reminds us that difficult moments are temporary. Just as day inevitably turns into night, and night in turn gives way to dawn, all the difficulties we face are fleeting. Change is the only constant, and knowing this gives us the strength to face moments of challenge with more serenity. When we are in a low phase, we can remind ourselves that this is part of the cycle, that the energy will return, that the sun will shine again. This trust helps us navigate low tides without despair, knowing that each wave of low brings with it the promise of a new beginning. Applying the law of rhythm in our lives is about learning to synchronize our energy with the natural flow. It is knowing that we do not always have to be highly productive, that we do not always have to be happy or always advancing. The beauty of life lies in the diversity of its cycles, in moments of action and moments of rest, in emotional highs and lows. Embracing each cycle as part of a larger dance is what allows us to live more harmoniously and authentically. May we then live in tune with the rhythm of the universe. May we accept each phase with grace and trust, knowing that every moment, whether of light or shadow, has its value. May we flow like water, adapt to the movement of life, and trust that, just as the tides, our lives have a rhythm that leads us to our highest purpose. For, in the end, living in harmony is learning to dance with the rhythm of the universe, embracing every step, every movement as an essential part of our journey. Law number 12, Law of Gender. Within each of us resides an essential duality, the energy of the masculine and the feminine. The law of gender teaches us that these two energies are not opposites, but rather complementary, coexisting in perfect harmony. This law does not pertain to biological gender but rather to the spiritual essence that manifests in all beings and in all things in the universe. Just as yin and yang intertwine to create a complete and balanced whole, we also need the balance between masculine and feminine energy to become whole and harmonious beings. The masculine energy is active, logical, analytical, focused on action and realization. It is that force that moves us toward achievement, that helps us plan, organize ideas, and act to transform dreams into reality. The feminine energy, on the other hand, is receptive, creative, intuitive, and nurturing. It connects us with our feelings, the depth of our intuition, and the ability to nurture, create, and allow things to flourish. Just like night and day, like light and shadow, both energies are necessary for the cycle of life to be complete. Think of an artist painting a canvas. The feminine energy is the one that inspires creation, bringing intuition, vision, colors, and feelings that will be translated onto the painting. The masculine energy is the steady hand that holds the brush, makes precise movements, and gives form to what was conceived within. Without the feminine energy, there would be no inspiration. Without the masculine energy, there would be no action to transform the inspiration into a work of art. The harmony between these energies is what allows the manifestation of the beautiful, the creative, the divine. The law of gender invites us to recognize and honor both energies within us. Often, in a world that excessively values action, productivity, and logic, we end up disconnecting from our feminine energy, which is so essential for our balance. When we disconnect from this part of ourselves, we lose the ability to connect with our deepest feelings, to listen to our intuition, and to allow things to follow their natural course. On the other hand, if we become too passive, disconnecting from the masculine energy, we may feel stagnant, lacking the strength needed to act and manifest our desires in the world. To live according to the law of gender, it is necessary to cultivate both the masculine and feminine aspects in a balanced manner. We can, for example, allow our intuition to guide us, feminine energy, and then take the necessary actions to manifest what we feel is the best path, masculine energy. Thus, the balance between intuition and action makes us complete beings, capable of conceiving ideas from our inner selves and bringing them to the world with confidence and determination. Nature is a perfect example of this harmony. Consider a seed planted in the soil. The earth that receives and nourishes it is an expression of feminine energy. It nurtures, provides the necessary nutrients for growth. But for the seed to become a tree, there is also an active energy involved. The force that breaks through the seed's shell, that grows toward the sun, that overcomes barriers and creates deep roots. This is the masculine energy in action. Without the receptive earth, the seed would have nowhere to grow. Without the active force, there would be no movement toward light. Both are fundamental, and life is the dance of these two forces in harmony. Within our relationships, the law of gender also manifests. Healthy relationships are those in which there is a balance between giving and receiving, between active strength and nurturing. When a relationship is out of balance, it is often because there is an excessive predominance of one of the energies, whether it is constant imposition, a need for control, excess masculine energy, or a lack of initiative, stagnation, excess feminine energy. Balance only happens when both parties recognize each other as complementary, valuing both the power of action and the depth of receptivity. The law of gender invites us to honor all aspects of our being. We need the power of action, logic, determination. The masculine energy that drives us forward, helps us overcome challenges and realize our intentions. But we also need creativity, intuition, and nurturing, the feminine energy that connects us to our true purpose, that allows us to feel, create, and nurture everything we want to manifest. When both energies work together, we become whole, capable of living with purpose and balance. May we, then, recognize and celebrate both the masculine and feminine that reside within us. May we use masculine energy to act, create change, make our dreams come true, and may we use feminine energy to connect with our hearts, to create from the soul, and to allow things to follow their course. For, in the end, true harmony is only found when these two seemingly opposing forces come together to create something greater, a complete human being, living in tune with their essence and in harmony with the universe. Throughout this journey through the 12 universal laws, we have seen that the universe operates with a precision and harmony that often escapes our everyday understanding. These laws are like pillars that sustain our existence, spiritual guides that invite us to live in a more conscious, connected, and meaningful way. They are not rigid rules to follow, but principles that, when understood and applied, help us transcend superficial life and dive into the depths of what it truly means to be human. Each of these laws is a reminder that we are not alone, that we are part of a greater whole, and that the way we think, feel, and act affects not only our own lives but also the reality around us. The law of divine unity reminds us that we are all connected, that we are parts of the same universal fabric. When we embrace this interconnectedness, we begin to act with more empathy, recognizing that the happiness and suffering of others also belong to us. The law of vibration invites us to raise our frequencies, to vibrate in love, in gratitude, knowing that what we emit to the universe returns to us. Every thought and every emotion has the power to shape our reality, and by choosing to elevate our vibrations, we are consciously creating a more positive and harmonious environment, both internally and externally. The law of action reminds us that transformation does not happen merely in thoughts. Action is required. Intention must be transformed into movement, being a channel through which purpose manifests in the world. The law of correspondence teaches us that what happens outside is a reflection of what happens inside. True change begins within each of us, and by transforming our inner reality, we create a positive impact on the external world. The law of cause and effect, karma, shows us that every action has a consequence, that everything we sow will eventually be harvested. We are responsible for the energy we emit, and by being conscious of our choices, we shape our destiny. The law of compensation reminds us that the universe always gives us what we deserve and need to grow. When we give wholeheartedly, the universe rewards us in unexpected ways, maintaining the balance between giving and receiving. The law of attraction, so well known, teaches us that we attract into our lives that which resonates with our vibration. By aligning with our most sincere desires, we attract people and experiences that reflect that energy. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy encourages us to transform dense and negative energies into growth and light. We are alchemists of our own lives, capable of turning pain into wisdom and difficulty into strength. The law of relativity invites us to see our challenges from a new perspective, to realize that nothing is absolute and that every difficulty is an opportunity for expansion and learning. The law of polarity reminds us that everything has an opposite, that light and shadow coexist, and that by accepting both, we find balance and growth. The law of rhythm teaches us that everything in life follows cycles, highs and lows, advances and retreats, and that by flowing with these cycles we find peace and harmony. Finally, the law of gender shows us that we all have both masculine and feminine energy within us, and that the balance of these energies is what makes us whole and in harmony with the flow of life. These laws are an invitation to a new perspective on life. They challenge us to be more conscious, more compassionate, and more aligned with our true purpose. Life ceases to be a succession of random events and becomes a harmonious dance, where each step has meaning and where each movement contributes to the great symphony of the cosmos. When we understand and apply these laws, our lives transform. We begin to see challenges not as insurmountable obstacles but as teachers that help us grow. We begin to see suffering not as something that defines us, but as a path to understanding and empathy. We begin to live not in resistance but in acceptance, not in fear but in love. May we then live each day with this new perspective, recognizing that we are co-creators of our reality and that by understanding the laws that govern our existence, we can live in a more intentional and fulfilling way. May we be the change we wish to see in the world, vibrating in harmony, acting with purpose, and living in connection with the universe. For, in the end, life is not about what we accumulate, but about who we become, about the journey we undertake toward a more true and elevated version of ourselves. Did you like this video? If it resonated with you and inspired you, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Together, let's transform our lives and the world around us.